Hello everyone. It's grade 10 consumer studies, and we have started with the topic food nutrition, and we were looking at page 126, which covers food safety. And then under food safety, we are still uh, busy with unit number 1. We have covered natural decay in food and the 5 causes of natural decay. And we have covered the microorganisms. We have looked at the 3 types of microorganisms in our previous lessons. Please go through your work and revise this too. And today we are looking at pathogenic microorganisms. Okay, that is on page 130 in your textbook. Page 130 in your textbook. Okay, so we are doing the last part of unit number 1 of food safety. Okay, just at the bottom of a page 130, we will be looking at pathogenic microorganisms. Okay, so they say pathogenic microorganisms are microorganisms that cause illness. Okay, so table 8.1 shows some common pathogenic microorganisms. Very important. I know it is difficult to pronounce these terms, to know them, but you need to know them because this is being asked in various tests and examinations. So this table, very important, you need to know it. Okay, so on the first column we've got the pathogenic organism, and then the nature of illness it caused, and then the food involved. Okay, and what can you do to prevent that illness that comes through this pathogenic microorganism. Okay, I pronounce it again, pathogenic microorganisms. So they say here, table 8.1, pathogenic microorganism and illnesses they cause. Okay, so we will start with Staphylococcus. Okay, let's start. Staphylococcus aureus. Okay, Staphylococcus aureus. That's the first one. Staphylococcus aureus. Okay, please try to practice how to pronounce this pathogenic organisms as well, so that in the exam you won't forget them. So let's do it slowly. Staphylococcus aureus. Okay, Staphylococcus aureus. Staphylococcus aureus. That's the first pathogenic organism. What is the nature of illness that it caused? Those bacteria produce a toxin in food that causes Staphylococcus poisoning. The symptoms are stomach cramps, vomiting, diarrhea within 1 to 6 hours after eating the infected food. So if you see somebody having these symptoms in 1 to 6 hours after they've eaten the food, you must know that it must be the Staphylococcus aureus, a pathogenic organism that has caused that. And then what foods are involved? Commonly found in cooked foods that are high in protein, such as cooked ham, tongue chicken, potato salad, custard, or cream-filled pastries and eggs. The bacteria also found in the skin, nose, and throat of 30 to 50% of healthy people. So this, it will be on the skin, nose, and throat as well. So what can we do to prevent the effects of this microorganism? We must keep hot food above 60 degrees Celsius and keep cold food between 5 degrees Celsius. The bacteria are destroyed by normal cooking. So if you cook the food, then you will destroy the bacteria. The toxin produced by the bacteria is heat stable and should be cooked for several hours or heated in pressure cooker at 130 degrees Celsius for about 30 minutes. You need to know how to prevent this illness from that microorganism, which is Staphylococcus aureus. Okay. And then the second pathogenic microorganism is the streptococcus. Streptococcus, okay? Streptococcus. This bacteria cause streptococcus poisoning. Symptoms are very similar to staphylococcus poisoning, but they develop more slowly. Okay, which means this one, if it takes 1 to 6 hours, this will take a little bit longer. The bacteria, but still the symptoms will be the stomach cramps, vomiting, diarrhea still. Okay, these bacteria come from the intestinal of the humans and animals. They affect mainly meat products. So if you see the same symptoms but are happening after 6 hours, then you know it's streptococcus. But if the symptoms are happening between 1 and 6 hours of eating, you know it's staphylococcus. Okay, so what are the food involves here? These bacteria come from intestinal contents of humans and animals. They affect mainly meat products. So normally your intestinal meat, okay, and the bacteria like your mohodu and those stuff. The bacteria are fairly heat resistant. Food should be cooked thoroughly to destroy them. Okay, so if you cook food, you won't have a problem with this bacteria. And now we have the third one. Okay, this one is Clostridium. Clostridium botulinum. Okay, Clostridium botulinum. Clostridium botulinum. Okay, this produces a toxin which causes botulism. Botulism is a life-threatening illness. Nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, fatigue, headache, double vision, which means you will see two people even if there's one person, and dry mouth may occur within 12 to 36 hours. The toxins attack respiratory system so that the patient has difficulty in breathing. So this a pathogenic microorganism, you find it in low acid canned food, vacuum packed food, meat, sausage, and fish. Botulinum bacteria are anaerobic, which means they don't need oxygen to grow. So they will grow in an airtight vacuum packed, which means even if it's closed, the food is in a closed container, they will still grow. And canned food. And how to do to prevent this? Bacterial spores in food are heat resistant and will only be destroyed by high temperature in pressure cooker. More than 6 hours of cooking are needed to kill the spores at boiling temperature. Okay, so you need to boil it for longer time to kill that microorganism. The toxin is destroyed by boiling for 10 to 20 minutes, and bacteria are destroyed by cooking. The time required depends on the type of food. Okay, this sounds even more dangerous than the first two microorganisms that we have seen, and it happens within 12 to 36 hours of eating the food. And the symptoms are nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, fatigue, headache, double vision, and dry mouth. Okay, so it is Clostridium botulinum. Okay, Clostridium botulinum. And the fourth one that you get is Clostridium perfringens. Okay, Clostridium perfringens. This bacteria are spore forming and grow anaerobically as well. Even if food is closed, they will grow. A toxin released in intestine causes perfringens poisoning. Symptoms are diarrhea, abdominal cramps, Okay, this is different. Remember the first two, it was stomach cramps. Okay, this one is abdominal cramps. Okay, abdominal cramps, chills, and headache within 8 to 12 hours, but there is no vomiting and fever on this one. So they are commonly found in raw meat, poultry, vegetables, spices, and in food that needs reheating. For example, your soup, gravy, and casserole dishes. They multiply rapidly in meat dishes and pies that are kept warm for a long time. So how to prevent this one? Thorough cooking will destroy the vegetative cells, but spores can survive. To prevent growth of this bacteria, foods should be cooled rapidly and refrigerated promptly at 5 degrees Celsius or kept above 60 degrees Celsius. And the next one, which is common, I've heard of this word before, it's salmonella. Salmonella is the next microorganism. Okay, the fifth one. Sorry, it's the next pathogenic microorganism. Okay, salmonella or intestinal infection will occur within 12 to 24 hours. Symptoms are nausea, diarrhea, abdominal pain, and fever, headache, and chills. Okay, so you need to know what are symptoms for each and every microorganism. They are found in animal foods such as raw and uncooked eggs, and undercooked meat and poultry, dairy products, and seafood. They are also spread by people. One of the salmonella species found in the intestinal tract of humans and animals causes thyroid, typhoid fever. Salmonella is destroyed by heating food to 60 degrees Celsius and holding it for 10 minutes, or by heating it to higher temperatures for a shorter time. Refrigeration at 5 degrees Celsius inhibits growth, but bacteria remains alive in food in the refrigerator or freezer, and even dried fruit, and even in dried foods. Okay, and then we have the sixth one, I think, which is the Campylobacter. Campylobacter jejuni. Campylobacter jejuni. This is one of the most common causes of nausea, abdominal cramps, and diarrhea, but unfortunately, it is not deadly. This is found in raw and undercooked meat and poultry, raw milk, mushrooms, and untreated water. Okay, it is how to prevent it. It is sensitive to drying and freezing. Survives in milk and water at 22 degrees Celsius for several weeks, and it is oxygen sensitive. Okay, and then the next pathogenic microorganism, it's the Listeria monocytogenes. Listeria monocytogenes. Okay, Listeria monocytogenes. It causes listeriosis, a serious disease for pregnant women, newborn babies, and adults with a weakened immune system. They say it causes listeriosis. Okay. It will survive for long periods in soil and plant materials. It occurs in undercooked meat, poultry, milk, and soft cheeses. It survives adverse conditions for long period. It grows in the refrigerator. It may survive pasteurization temperatures, uh, which are 90 degrees Celsius for 15 seconds. And the next one, which is the last one, is the aflatoxin. Aflatoxin, it's a mycotoxin, produced by certain strains of Aspergillus flavus, an extremely toxic mold that causes illness and even death. Sure. It grows on grains and peanuts that have not been properly dried or stored. The toxin is extremely potent. Even a small portion of contaminated food can be unsafe to eat, and they haven't give us the preventative measures for this microorganism. Okay, so here they give us, let me maximize this so that we can all see. So the ideal conditions for pathogens development are as follows. Uh, food In food, they will grow in any food except food with high acid content, such as pickles and some fruits. Moose, meat, fish, eggs, poultry, milk, cream, and cream sauces are highly susceptible to contamination. In moisture, pathogens usually do not grow in dried fruits, but they may be present in dry fruit and start to develop as soon as moisture is added. They also do not grow in food when moisture is unavailable, e.g., when frozen. So in frozen food, they don't grow. And then the temperature, room temperature of plus or minus 24 degrees Celsius is ideal for bacterial growth. The danger zone for bacterial growth lies between 10 degrees Celsius and 50 degrees Celsius. And how long does it take in terms of time? Bacteria multiply very rapidly. Rapidly means fast in ideal temperatures. Food should not be kept in danger zone for longer than 2 to 3 hours. A bacterium duplicates itself every 20 minutes. So single organism may increase more than 500 in 3 hours and to more than 2 million in 7 hours. Sure. So food left at the room temperature in summer will become unsafe to eat in just 2 to 3 hours. So if you left food outside the freezer for 2 to 3 hours, they become unsafe. And they say in oxygen, some bacteria are aerobic, which means they need oxygen to grow. Others, such as Clostridium botulinum and perfringens, are anaerobic, so they don't need oxygen to grow. And then what are the effects of these pathogens microorganism on food? Let's go through that. I will take this up a little bit. They say that you cannot always tell whether food has gone off because you often cannot see, smell, or taste that the food has been infected. Most of food poisoning bacteria are odorless, which means you cannot smell them. They are odorless, they are colorless, and they are tasteless. So by the time you discover them, it's too late. So you can't smell them, you can't see them in color, you can't even taste them. So by the time you discover them, it might be too late and you might be having the illness symptoms. So what to do? Always be on the lookout to tell tail signs. You must smell food. Food may develop an unpleasant smell when bacteria start to break down proteins. Sliminess, food becomes slimy and covered with an unpleasant jelly-like liquid. And discoloration, food can become discolored. For example, vacuum-packed meat may develop a pinkish yellow color and fresh meat may grow a greenish streaks. You've seen this, that when the meat becomes greenish. Okay. And gas. Bacteria often produce gas that can affect the food. For example, cans of tin food, especially fish and meat, swell and make fizzing sound on opening. So you must know that it is affected by bacteria. If the tin fish swell and when you open it, it makes the sound when you open it. Always test the tins in the shop so that you do not buy bulging tins. So when you buy your canned food at the shop, make sure that the tin is still in its shape, okay? Because if you buy the tin that has swollen a little bit, then you might be buying a food that is already spoiled, okay? So now we're going to look at unit number 2, because we've only covered unit number 1 on food safety. We've covered unit number 1. Now we are looking at unit number 2. Okay, let's leave unit number 2 for the next lesson.